Well, hello again. This is Pastor Brian Anderson. We are in the book of Mark, chapter 2, with another daily devotion. This time it's the first 12 verses of that chapter. And Mark 2, verses 1 to 12, tell the story of the man who is lame, who had 4 friends, who went up on a roof where Jesus was teaching, dug through the roof, and lowered this man down on a pallet to the floor right in front of Jesus. And when he was lowered before Jesus, Jesus turned to him and said, "Son, your sins are forgiven." Now there were scribes that were watching this whole affair, and when they saw this, they were taken aback, and they said, "Why does this man speak that way? He's blaspheming. Who can forgive sins but God alone?" Now, of course, the implied answer is no one. They were right. No one can forgive sins but God alone. And if Jesus was not God, then he would be blaspheming, just as they claimed. But Jesus wanted those scribes to understand really who he was. So he asked them a question. They asked him a question: who can forgive sins but God alone? Jesus turned the tables and asked them a question. Is it easier to say, "Your sins are forgiven," or to say, "Get up, pick up your pallet, and walk"? Now think about those two different questions. Your sins are forgiven. Is that easier, or is it easier to say, "Get up, pick up your pallet, and walk"? I would submit to you it's much easier to say your sins are forgiven. And the reason is because nobody can test you. Nobody can qualify to see whether their sins are actually forgiven, because forgiveness happens in the invisible realm. It's much harder to say to this man, "Get up, take up your pallet, and walk," because everybody will know instantaneously whether the man was healed or not. It's visible. It's something that happens on the outside. So it's more difficult to say, "Get up, take up your pallet, and walk." Now, because Jesus wanted them to know who he was, that he was God and had the authority on earth to forgive sins, he chose the harder route. He said, "Get up, take up your pallet, and walk." Now, if Jesus was unable to heal this man, the scribes could rightly conclude that Jesus was blaspheming, that he didn't have no authority on earth to forgive sins, and that he was a fake and a fraud. But by this act of healing, we have the visible, tangible proof of Jesus's deity, of his godhood. We know that he's able to forgive sins and that he has the authority on earth to forgive sins because he did heal this man right after he said he was going to do it. So that means that Jesus is able to forgive my sins, not just anybody's sins, but mine, because he went to the cross and atoned for those sins. And if we don't learn anything else from this story, we should learn this: Jesus is Lord and God, and thus has the authority to forgive sins. I can know him. I can walk in forgiveness because of him, if I will simply surrender my life to his word and to his authority. So my question to you today is, have you surrendered to Jesus? Have you surrendered to his word? Do you believe him when he speaks? And have you surrendered to his authority? Have you given him the rights over your life as Lord? Well, give that some thought today and make the right choice. Until we meet again on another video, may God richly bless you.